Good morning. Yep, it's a beautiful Saturday morning. Saturdays when we generally get together and we talk the wild, weird, and wacky world of the Word. Well, I wanted to do something just a little bit different today, and I think you know why. It's because today's that day of remembrance, the day when we remember what happened in our nation 20 years ago. I'd like to just point you toward the skies there for a moment. Look at those clouds moving along. Beautiful blue sky. We had a beautiful blue sky 20 years ago too. But we all suddenly found ourselves staring at that blue sky. Well, maybe not all. I bet you some of you weren't even born yet. But those of us who were, we remember exactly where we were and what we were doing 20 years ago, and just a few hours from when I'm taping this, a few hours from now. We remember staring at disbelief at our TV screens as airplanes were plowing into the World Trade Center. One had probably already done its deed by the time we had the TV on and we heard, hey, something's happening. But then a lot of us watched in horror as the second one plowed into the other tower. And then we heard about Shanksville, and then we heard about the Pentagon, and we're at a loss. We're at a loss. What's happening to us? What's next? Is it going to be us next? 9/11, 20 years ago today. Just an awful event. Somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 were killed that day by those terrorist attacks. And the one thing that a lot of us remember is how in the days following that, we all came together. We came together as a country. And not only were we coming together because we were afraid and we didn't quite know what to do and what our government was going to do to protect us, but we started acting differently toward one another. We actually started caring for each other. Not that we didn't do that before in some respects, but there was a whole new sense of looking out for each other and trying to do our best to say, I love you, I care for you, I'm going to do whatever I can to protect you. Do you remember that? And that lasted for a good long while. Yes, there was fear involved, but there was a lot of compassion and caring as well. And I just have to wonder why 20 years later it's not the same. In fact, there's a lot of vitriol and a lot of hatred spewing out of our mouths toward one another. And what's this all about? And I think that within the past year, 656,000 of us have died from a horrible disaster called COVID-19. A pandemic that's not only swept across our country, but across the world. You all know that. We all know that. Right now, on this 11th of September, 2021, 20 years after 9/11, over 1,000 people a day are dying in our country from this pandemic. And why is it that we spew such hatred at one another over things such as wearing a mask or getting the vaccine? Why do we stand up for our rights and I don't have to do what you tell me to do? Why is that the mantra instead of, hey, I'm looking out after you and I care for you and I love you? I'm at a loss personally. I don't know what's going on. And some of you might be saying, hey, you're comparing apples and oranges. Am I really? I'm talking about human lives, our neighbors' lives, our friends' lives, our families' lives. Can't we do what it takes to make this world a safer place? It's more than just I'm looking out after myself. I'm looking out after others as well. Why do we have such distrust in other human beings who have worked so tirelessly to bring us a sense of safety and to help get us on the other side of this pandemic? Why? Why are we filled with such utter disdain for those who are trying their best to get us to the other side? I know there's going to be a lot of you to dislike what I'm saying right now, and maybe have a kind of a dislike for me right now, simply because I'm saying these things and saying, "Oh, you're the gullible one. You're the one that's fallen for all that stuff, and now you're just the one who is giving in to Big Brother." You know what? If you want to say that, go ahead. You have every right to say that. I'm not taking your rights from you. I'm just asking you, if you are a Christian, if you believe that we are called to love one another, to love our neighbors as ourselves, why do we act this way? Why do we not do whatever it takes? Didn't Jesus even say to us, if you want to follow me, you must deny yourself and pick up your cross and follow me? Which means do whatever it takes to do the right thing, the loving thing, the caring thing for those around you. How hard is it to wear a piece of paper over your face whenever you walk into a crowded situation because you care enough not to be one who's going to spread that virus? How hard is it to go down to the pharmacy and have a little needle put in your arm? We've done it countless times as people. I remember not being able to go to school unless you had certain vaccines. Why can't we do that now? Why do we have such a distrust in the science that has brought us so much wonderful technology to keep us all alive and to keep us healthy, that now we can't do the same? I don't get it. I don't get it. God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. A Son who loves us so much that he went to the cross. It wasn't a matter of a mask. It wasn't a matter of a vaccine. It was a matter of him going to the cross to die for us. Why can't we do something as simple as putting on the mask, getting a needle put in our arms? Why can't we do that? Not only for ourselves, loving ourselves, because the scriptures do say that. Love yourself. You got to love yourself, really, before you love others. You have to care enough about who you are. But then, love others as you love yourself. Or do you have such a disdain for this life that you just don't care? I'm not trying to be mean about it, but it sort of seems that way. It seems like you don't care. And I think back 20 years ago, how we were embracing and hugging people we never even met. We cared that much. "20 years ago, we were faced with a terrible situation, one that had a lot of unknowns in it. And yes, there are a lot of unknowns in our situation today. Yes, this vaccine hasn't been around long enough to know what some of the long-term effects are. But we do know that right now it is saving lives. It's saving lives. And yet No, because I don't know what it's going to do to me 10 years from now. I'm not going to get it. I don't get that. I'm sorry. I don't understand. I want you to know I love you and I care enough about you. Even if I don't see you day to day, I still care enough that it's my plea that you do what it takes to keep yourself safe, keep your family safe, and keep all those around you safe. We have it, the ability to do it. We can do it. So as we commemorate and remember those who died in those awful terrorist attacks and those who rushed to help them and who also perished, as we remember all of them this day, let's remember we have an opportunity to do the same, to rush in to the very jaws of death right now and bring a hopeful situation out of chaos, to bring life to others. We can do it. God's blessings be with you on this 9/11 Remembrance Day, 20 years after the event. And let's continue to lift up our prayers and praise to God for those who do so much for us. Our first responders, our scientists who work hard, our government officials who are trying to do the best with a horrible situation, knowing also that there are so many different sets of values out there and ways of doing things. What do we do best? To do the common good, to do what's going to bring us all through this pandemic, this time of uncertainty, this time of suffering. You and I know that it's all about love. Love one another, Jesus said, as I have first loved you. Blessings be with you this day.